Clock is running. It's at 22, 21, now 20. Ivy over the timeline. Ohio State in man-to-man defense. Now at 15, now 14. Ivy will set the offense into motion as now we are at 10. Ivy to the high right wing on the dribble. Step back, deep three. Oh my goodness! Triple time! Jaden Ivy! Purdue has the lead! Travion dribbles to the left elbow, picks it up and hands the basketball to Brandon Newman, who goes between the leg dribble. Step back, looked at a three, decides against it. And now to a back-cutting Sasha Stefanovic. He lays it inside to Travion Williams, who puts it into the basket. What a beautiful cross-key feed from Stefanovic.
Road games have been done from actually here on campus, where we set up kind of a makeshift studio and we have to broadcast the games on looking at a television monitor. Essentially, that's what we're doing, is calling the game from watching it on a television monitor. So
Brandon Newman had Miles Johnson dragged out on the switch, picked up his dribble, but was able to find a cutting Stefanovic backdoor, and then Sasha dropped it out to Travion for the layup.
Doing the road games, the other games we've had to do remotely, it's been difficult. Certainly from someone who likes to be able to watch the bench and see some of the other things going on during the game and pick up those little things that I can bring to the broadcast. That's been hard, just going off of the feed alone.
Sasha's going to shoot a three in transition and knock it down. Oh, I thought it was ill-advised, but if you're going to make it, then go ahead and take it. Stefanovic with a triple.
Of all the guys Coach Painter would probably allow that shot to happen, it's your guy shooting 50% from three. Sasha Stefanovic, huge shot in transition.
well, the biggest challenge has been you don't really know what you're going to get from the home venue, right?
Some of the different feeds have been better than others, so that part taking some getting used to. There was one feed we had recently where Rob, he couldn't see anywhere on the feed the shot clock, and so he was having to kind of guesstimate how late in the clock it was getting at times per possessions.
You know, we've had a couple games this year where the home venue has only provided basically what's the equivalent of a Zoom shot or a Zoom call of the action as it just goes up and down the floor, almost as someone holding their own cell phone, right, and shooting a Zoom. And unfortunately, when you do that, right, the clarity isn't great.
Yeah, because I don't think you could see it, but I'm pretty sure Travion tipped in Eric's layup.
Okay. Because our television monitor we use it's great. I mean, it has a great high-resolution screen, and so we can really see some things if that's the type of shot that's being sent to us. Again, if we're getting something that basically equates to someone trying to film the game on their cell phone and then sending us the video to call the game off of that, it gets a little more difficult.
We are broadcasting from West Lafayette, watching this game on a television monitor, which at times means I don't see everything quite as clearly as I wish I had. I bring that up because earlier I had given credit to a basket on a driving right-handed layup for Eric Hunter Jr.
And quite frankly, you know, I can complain all I want about the difficulty of broadcasting this year from here at Purdue University when the team is on the road. But the fact of the matter is, the guy that has the toughest job by far, is Wes Scott.
Oh, it's back anyway, never mind.
Come on, man. Have a little fun.
Number one, not only is he in charge of making sure from an audio standpoint that we're sending a clean feed to those on the radio listening airwaves, he also has now had to take on the added responsibility of making sure we get the video feeds properly from the venue that happens to be hosting the game.
I mean, it's just like we're at the rack, man.
It was as a year to get started, not having the fans. Maybe it's been easier for me because it's just been the game itself for me to focus on. But I'm really excited to have a packed Mackey and to see all the fans back. And
certainly it'll be fun to get back into the arenas, call games live as they happen from an arena, not from a makeshift studio back here in West Lafayette. But what I'll really appreciate the most, and what I do appreciate now, and he writes the old, you don't appreciate it really maybe until it's taken away from you, is just the inclusiveness that we have from a radio broadcast team with our Purdue basketball team. I've really missed that this year. The camaraderie and that part of just feeling like you're part of the family, that's been a tough part to miss out on, without question.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's show, the Boilermakers.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Mackey Arena. Students are out in force. Here we go.
Bring it in. Sends it in to Glenn against the double team. He comes down, he stops, he spins, he fires. He hits! The Boilermakers steal one from Michigan.
Purdue comes out on the run. Hummel all the way to the basket, to the corner. Moore shoots a three. Bullseye! Back-to-back triples by the Boilermakers. Comes to the right, drives in, and a block by Hummel. The paint crew has hit the floor. 8 seconds left to Kramer. Crossover dribble, drives all the way to the basket and score! Purdue has won the game, 63-61, and we're headed to Houston.
Ladies and gentlemen, the voice of Purdue basketball, Larry Clisby.
Into the corner to Ryan Smith, to Moore, shoots a three. Bullseye! Corner, three on the way. Bullseye! Davis! And then a three ball on the way. Bullseye! Hit by the core Matthias! The Boilermakers have won the 2017 Big Ten Championship. And the Boilermakers have won their 24th Big Ten Championship. I'm not all too certain this hasn't been the most impressive. Shot clock at 6. Klein, step back three. Got it! Oh my goodness! Ah, what a beautiful sound, as those are Boilermaker fans.
This rivalry, Purdue-IU, it's so much more than a game. It's 117 years and more than 200 games in the making. It's Piggy Lambert and Branch McCracken, Bobby Knight and Gene Keady. It's Rick Mount dropping 41. Chad Austin beating buzzers.
Austin to win it, yes!
And John Octius baptizing the masses.
John Octius baptizing the masses!
It's the battle to be the best basketball team in the country's best basketball state.
Hey, this game is not for the weak.
But when you get down to it, this rivalry isn't about facts. It's about a feeling. It's about running out of that tunnel with 15,000 maniacs screaming louder than they ever have.
This is one of the top 5 environments in college basketball.
It's the chills you get in that moment just before tip-off. And it's the joy you get when the final horn sounds and you stand with your brothers, victorious. It's like no other feeling in the world. It's Purdue and Indiana.
Good evening. My name is Tim House, and I get to represent the John Purdue Club, Purdue Athletics, and the Purdue for Life Foundation here tonight for a very special event at Harry's Chocolate Shop leading up to tip-off with a school, I think, down in Bloomington that will not be named. We're excited to take a stroll down memory lane, talk about some great Purdue Athletics moments, and to do it all from the place we know you all would be prior to tip-off in any normal year. So while it's a bummer, we're not all going to be in Mackey Arena tonight. We are excited to bring this sense of normalcy here to you tonight by being at Harry's. Thank you so much to Mary and Lane, for hosting us here tonight. It really is truly special to be here, Mary.
We're glad to have everybody. It's fun to be included in this special event with the John Purdue Club. We really miss our alumni. We miss the students with all the cutbacks of hours and things and population. But to do this and be asked to be part of it is really quite an honor, and we so appreciate the John Purdue Club and what it does for all our alumni and all of us.
Awesome. Well, again, we're privileged to be here. We're excited to be here. And, it wouldn't be an event at Harry's if we didn't start it out with a drink. So we're going to kick it over to the CEO of the Purdue Purdue for Life Foundation, Matt Fulp, who's going to make Brian Cardinal's favorite drink, the Green Dragon. Take it away, Matt.
Hey everybody, it's game day and I'm here at Harry's with our obviously favorite bartender K9, by the way, Purdue alum and former football player. So what are you making for me today?
Well, Matt, let's get you started off on game day with Brian Cardinal's favorite, the Green Dragon. He loves these things. Have a little vodka, a little gin, a little rum, a little triple sec, just to get a nice base going. And we top that guy off with a little melon liqueur, with a little sour, and a little 7-Up. That gets him ready to go. There you go, Brian's favorite.
All right, let's try this. I've actually never had one of these. Not bad, not bad at all.
Go.
All right then, well back to Tim.
Thanks, Matt. We're going to give the Green Dragon a try while we kick it over to Coach Painter and Mackie.
Hello to everyone who's watching this virtually. We appreciate all your support and your backing. I know there's a lot of people out there, from our boosters to our donors to fans, everybody in general that's wanted to be in Mackey Arena this year and can't. So we really appreciate you guys watching this and supporting us from a virtual standpoint. I know Coach Keady is going to be joining us and talking to former players, and I think that's going to be a really neat thing to have him included here at the end of the year. I know he likes to get back to games and watch games and be involved, and this year with COVID, it's been hard for him, it's been hard for us, it's been hard for everybody, but we're all looking forward to getting back in Mackey Arena. But once again, thank you for all your support, and this team has been great to coach, and we really appreciate everything.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck tonight. We all wish we were there, but we're going to be cheering loudly here from Harry's. Mary and Lane, as I said earlier, I mean, Harry's is a staple in the West Lafayette community, just like Purdue athletics. And many Purdue alums and friends and fans have taken in some of the biggest moments in Purdue athletics history here. I have to ask you now, what's your favorite Purdue athletics memory that you experienced in Harry's and along the years?
There's not one. I mean, that's the fun of it. All of it brings so much spirit and fun to campus, and all the people coming back and everybody rallying around the teams we love and the people we know today, as well as the ones that come back. But the chair, obviously, when you talk about IU basketball, I'm old enough to have experienced the chair being thrown across the court. So that's pretty special. We have other ones, and when we opened the upstairs, everything changed for the people and the timing and all, but the timing of it's what's special.
One of my favorite athletic moments was when the women won the national title in '99. This place was crazy. Everybody just cheering and going nuts. It was really something special to be part of.
And that was the first year with the upstairs open. So we had all these TVs and all these people here. I mean, the lead up through all the games was great. Everybody was behind it. Everybody on campus. And then the big win, we were all here for it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And as I think about that national championship, we mentioned Brian Cardinal, his favorite drink earlier. His wife Danielle was on that team, and you said something to me once, Mary, about how Harry's, Purdue athletics, it's about family. And that resonates thinking about Brian and Danielle, but thinking about us all being here tonight. What does it mean, for you guys at Harry's to be a part of the fabric of this community and to share that fabric with Purdue athletics?
The fact that this business has been on this corner since 1919, anyone that comes to Purdue knows we're here, whether they've come in or not, depending on the era and what was going on. So we just celebrated the 100-year anniversary of the business last year in 2019. Harry Merrick Jr.'s wife, Helen, still with us and was able to come and be with us that day with her children. So it is a real sense of family how we run it. Lane, 20 years. And Kevin, many people that everyone's recognized today, as well as it's our family. All the pictures on the wall that are new are family. And here we are, and hopefully be here a long time. We appreciate all the support. We wouldn't be here without all the alumni and all the Purdue community. But it is very much a sense of community.
Amen, amen. And it's a privilege for us to get to be a part of that community and that family like you talked about. Excited now to kick it to, I think, one of the patriarchs of that family, Coach Gene Keady, who's got probably more memories about Purdue athletics than any of us will ever have in our whole life. Excited to hear Coach's perspective. Coach is going to join us now with Nate Barrett. Nate, Coach, take it away.
Well, Tim, thanks so much. And what a thrill for us as part of this virtual sellout. This is our pregame show, and we're very pleased to be joined by Purdue former head basketball coach Gene Keady, who all of you are familiar with. And of course, all of us that grew up in the 80s are quite familiar with the group of guys known as the Three Amigos. And we have Troy Lewis and Todd Mitchell and Everette Stevens with us. And I told you guys before we started recording, it's a real thrill because you're the reason I am a Purdue fan. And so many of us in my age group, that 88 season is so memorable. But there's a lot to your career here at Purdue. And of course, with the Purdue-IU rivalry. And that's what we really want to talk about tonight. And Coach, we'll let you lead off, and we'll kind of bounce back and forth between all of you. But when you think, Coach, about the Purdue and IU rivalry, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Well, I think the most important thing about that question is we as a team and coaching staff didn't think the IU game was the most important, although the alumni tried to make us think that, but because every game was very, very big to us in the Big Ten. We just wanted to win the Big Ten, qualify for the NCAA, and see if we couldn't win a national championship. So that was what we were after. And we probably weren't as cool about the IU rivalry as the alumni were, but it's still important to us. And a lot of good things and cherished things happen.
Troy, when you think about the rivalry, being an in-state guy, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Well, like you said, it's with me, it was a little different than Todd and Everette because I had guys from my hometown that played at IU, like Bobby Wilkerson was on that 76 national championship team, and Ray Tolbert was on the 81 national championship team, and Stu Robinson and Winston Morgan, all from Anderson. So, I kind of was rooting for those guys to do well at IU. But once I signed Rowinski and Steve Reed and Ricky Hall and all those guys, Atkinson, them beating IU down there at Bloomington, I was just going crazy watching the game. So I knew I made the right choice of being a Boilermaker.
Todd, for you and Everette, we'll let you lead off, Todd. But when did you, after getting to campus, get the full sense of how big of a deal the rivalry was between these two teams?
Well, I think for me, I felt like I started to get a real sense of what the rivalry was in my second day in classes. I had a math class, and the teacher asked me to stay. Could you wait just a second? And I said, after class, I said, okay. And I come down, talk to the teacher, and she says, I understand you're from Ohio. I said, yes, I'm from Ohio. And she says, well, I understand you're a freshman, but I just want you to know that come IU game, that is the most hated and most bitter rivalry that you're ever going to see. It doesn't even compare to your Ohio-Michigan rivalry. That this goes much deeper. So I just want you to be aware of that right off the rip. And that was my second day in school.
Set the tone. How about you, Everette?
Yeah, for me, it was pretty much like Todd said, on campus when you're running across, basketball fans, and also every once in a while when we went to a party or so, you would run across people who were just talking about the most important game for them was the IU game. That's the only game they wanted to win. And you just heard it so much that it just got you so pumped up the whole time. And of course, the whole week preparing for IU, I mean, Coach, he had our undivided attention as players because this was a team, I mean, that we wanted, if there's one win we wanted to have, this was a big win we felt as players.
That's perfect, Everette, because I wanted to ask you that, Coach, next. I know how strongly you feel about winning the league, but was there anything you did different in practice during IU week?
I can't remember doing anything different because whatever game was next was the most important one to me. I can't speak for the other three guys about the IU game because they probably heard all that out when they were walking to class or around their friends, and they probably had a little different pressure on them than I did. But I just wanted to win the next game. So I loved it at Purdue, and I wanted to keep my job. But it still was a big deal. We all were very aware of it.
Okay, let's talk players, and we'll give Everette and Todd a minute to think about it. But Troy, when you think about beating IU, who was the player, or was there a player you most wanted to beat?
It wasn't really a player that I wanted to beat. Of course, I played against Steve Alford in high school, so, it was always special to go against him. But it was really just wanting to beat Indiana, like Todd never talked about. It's just you on campus and everything is about, hey, we got to beat those guys. We got to beat those guys. And in reality, when you play against these, playing against IU, you really don't have a hatred against the players. It's just more of the rivalry, the intensity of it, that you want to have bragging rights at the end of the year.
But can you be that diplomatic, Todd?
Actually, yeah, Troy's the politician of the group. But for me, I definitely wanted to put it to Dean Garrett myself personally. There were, I think it was on our junior year, there was a little bit of bulletin board material that came out of Bloomington, and we always remembered that. And so I really wanted to kind of stick it to him. We had a chance. I really hated that person. I really hated Dean at the beginning. And then in the summer and after the season, they have an event in Bloomington called Little Five, and it's kind of a good weekend for a lot of students come from all over the state to go down and spend the weekend. And we happened to meet, and we kind of became good friends after that. And we're still pretty tight to this day. But I really, really enjoyed sticking it to him. Whenever we had a chance to play him 4 times. So I really got a chance to stick it to him. But every time I go to his house, he kind of has for whatever reason, he has the video playing. He in Bloomington whenever I show up there. So it's kind of a friendly deal amongst friends 30-some years later. So.
Todd named one, Everette. Now, I mean, people remember, as Troy alluded to, with Steve Alford. I mean, you guys were tremendous guards. They had tremendous guards. Give us a vantage point of guard play in those games.
Oh, I mean, for me, I learned from watching when I was a sophomore, watching Matt Gaddis. I mean, the way he defended Alford and what he had to go through, and preparing for that. Again, throughout the week on how to defend Alford, because most of their offense, predicated on getting him the ball in certain spots. And so we have to run through all types of screens, moving ones and also ones that was legal, but a lot of them were moving picks. Wow. But we have to run through a whole bunch of those picks. And I just remember Mac was just telling me, do not let him out your sight. He said, he wasn't looking for an excuse. Don't get hit by no moving picks. Stay on him the whole time. And from then, I just learned how to, throughout that process, just be able to get through all those tough screens. And then, you had Keith Smart, who was just incredible athlete. So all those different things, I didn't even think about scoring because my whole thing was, how could I stop my man from scoring? Because we had enough scores on our team. And so that was just my mindset going in there. Because, I just hated all. I grew to hate IU, period. I just grew to hate them.
A lot over the past few years, Coach, as you and Coach Knight have done some speaking engagements, has been well covered. But what were your impressions of Coach Knight when you came up here from Western Kentucky?
Well, I had met him in Tulsa when he and Coach Sutton, who I was assistant for at Arkansas in those days, were doing a clinic, and I went over to listen to both of them. And I rode home in Coach Sutton's car with Coach Knight because he wanted to go back to Fayetteville and fish. So that was my first occasion with Coach Knight. And I've read a lot about him being the coach at Army and that sort of thing. So we had a great visit and so on. I guess I didn't have the dislike towards that situation when I got to Purdue. as maybe some people, but it was just one of those things. He's another coach, highly respected, and we just wanted to beat him.
And Troy, what were your impressions of Coach Knight and the IU program growing up?
Coach ain't going to remember. Coach doesn't remember this story, but we had a guy that was messing up in practice one time. I'm not going to say his name. Coach blew the whistle. He said, "Why don't you go down south so they can have two a-holes?"
Hey, you know what, Troy? I think I remember that too. I don't remember who it was, but yes, I remember.
I know who it was.
Yes.
I know who it was.
Todd, do you have anything you want to share before I switch topics?
No, not really. I mean, coming from Ohio, you always saw Coach Knight, and that just wasn't my style, his style, and that didn't obviously happen. But always respected the guy, and he did have good things to say about me as a player. Not so much about the school, but
yeah, Todd.
A few things nice to say.
Todd used to destroy IU from freshman year to senior year. He destroyed them all 4 years single-handedly. We didn't have to worry about him being ready.
I was ready.
Well,
exactly.
That's why I'm going to come right back to you, Todd, with this question. Now, I've heard over the years Steve Reed's version of events, but you were on the floor when that chair got thrown in Bloomington. And so I want to lead off with you on the chair game. Mm-hmm. And where are you? Are you back over in the huddle? Are you turning? And when did you notice something was going on?
Well, I mean, go back to the actual play that caused the chair. Was at that time, Coach Knight, and he might have been the first guy to ever kind of teach the flop. And so I was going across to screen, and Daryl Thomas jumps out in my way, and I run him over. Coach Knight wanted the flop. He wanted that call. He didn't get it. We played on the other end, came back down. He was still yelling, so they hit him with the tee. And then he wouldn't stop talking about it. So they hit him again. And then, famously, they hit him a third time because he wouldn't leave the court in a timely manner.
That's right. He wouldn't leave it.
Yeah, he wouldn't leave. And so, I guess the chair started because of that non-call. But I was standing talking to Coach. And then all of a sudden, Steve was at the line. I'm standing there talking to Coach. And I see him reach back and toss that thing. And I said, and I think I said to Coach, I said, I know I'm only 18, it's my first time down here, but does this happen all the time?
No.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Well, Coach,
it's such an iconic moment.
It was. And Coach, what was going through your mind when you saw that unfold?
Well, I was happy as heck because it's hard to score down there when you got. What did we get? 3 technicals or 2?
It was an 8-point swing. We got the ball and
yes, 8-point swing.
So we got some freebies at the free throw line. I was happy. It was one of those things where that as a coach, you don't worry. You don't fly the jet too far over there. You just get ready for the next play.
Right.
Everett and Troy, you have any memories you want to share of that incident? Because even ESPN shared it the other day. All these years later, it still remains one of the most iconic moments in recent college basketball history. Any thoughts you have on it?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I just remember I wasn't playing at that time. I was a freshman, and I was sitting on the bench. And, all other games, I'm hoping and praying that I get a chance to get in there and play. And it was so loud in there. That was the only time that I remember praying. I mean, I was praying hard that he would not put me in that game because it was so loud. It was so loud the entire time that, it was just hard just to think, And so for me, I think if he would have called my name, I really would have left the whole trail going to the checkout table easily because I was totally overwhelmed.
Troy, go ahead.
Well, yeah, mine, I was also on the floor at the time too. And I just remember, like Todd talked about, we were in the huddle and, I just happened to look at Steve Reed. I turned around and look at Steve Reed to shoot the free throw. And then next thing you know, boom, that chair flew across and at first I was like, did this guy just throw a chair? I was like, what is this? I was like, who does this? And,
Right.
and then, like Everett said, and as he was walking, I still tell people this story all the time.
Yes.
I said, when he walked off the floor, it was so loud in there. They was chanting his name. It was going by.
Piercing.
It was so loud. I was like,
yes.
God, I was like, this is crazy. But I also said to myself, oh, let's go win this one. I said, let's take all the air out of this place and let's go win this game.
Let's get in, Coach, to your favorite memory from the rivalry games. You know, you and Coach Knight battled many times, but when you look at it now, what's the first thing that stands out just about the rivalry with IU?
Well, I think the most important thing is for our young kids to understand how intense it was going to be and how the players talked about how loud it was, because Mackey was always loud. I mean, that was one of our advantages. The fans at Mackey would really help us win a lot of games. But, you know, you just had to be able to focus and concentrate and fight through all that. And because I can remember one time I came in the restroom when we first got there, and on the chalkboard was written, "Keady, we're going to kick your you know what?" And I found out later from one of their managers it was Ted Kitchell. So it was like that kind of fired us up. So it was one of the things that, of course, I use it to fire us up. But anyway, it was it's always about something that might give you an edge, and we found a couple times to be able to do that.
And Troy, when you think about the intensity of the rivalry now, as you reflect on it, there were junior and senior year, you guys split. And they win down in Bloomington, you win at Mackey, and just especially those later 2 years when you guys were battling for the Big Ten championship. What do you think about?
First thing I think about is when I threw an errant pass at the end of the game. We came all the way back. We were down 21. I want to say my junior year. So our junior year, when we were down 21, we made that comeback, and no, it was my senior. It was senior year. And I remember we knocked the ball. We made a run. We were up 1, and I took the ball. Coach called my number for the play to take it out underneath, and I got lazy with the pass. I remember Jay Edwards stole the ball. That has stuck with me. I mean, people always they say, "Hey, the Knight threw the chair game." I said, no. I said, me throwing that ball away that lost us, that has stuck with me, and that will always stick with me.
Well, Todd, what sticks with you as you look at the rivalry these years, decades later?
Well, as players and athletes, a lot of times you never remember the great moments, but the bad ones always stick with you. When people ask me, what's the one game that you'll always remember? And I say the senior year, that same game, we were up 1. And I think at that time, near the end of the game, 15 seconds to go in the game, they shoot a shot, miss. I get the rebound. They hurry up. They foul. We go to the other end. It's 1-1. The three of us used to have we used to call ourselves, we always wanted to make the big free throws at the end. And we used to have this little club, the Clutch Cargo Club. After the end of the game, we wanted to be clutch. And so we wanted to go to the line and really close the door. 15 seconds to go, 1-1, go straight up there, miss it. They go down, they throw it into Dean Garrett, and that's the video that I see every time I go to his house. Is him hitting a 5-footer off the glass and the buzzer going off. So, like I said, as athletes, you always remember, the difficult ones and the mistakes. And I think that game, and then the other game is always going to be, the K-State game that we lost, got upset in the tournament. We really felt like that was our opportunity to get to the Final Four. And not so much for us. Yeah, we all wanted to get there, but we knew at that time that was Coach's best team, best opportunity to get there. And I know, speaking for myself and the other two guys on here, took that personally because we were the seniors, and we felt like that was our responsibility, and it didn't happen. So that was one of the big things that I remember.
Everett, what do you think about these decades later of the rivalry when it first pops into your mind?
For me, it was just the fact that, it was going to be a good game. The coach and the coaching staff, they didn't have to pump us up in order to get us to go out there and play hard. It was a matter, for me personally, it was a matter of trying to tone myself down so that I wouldn't, like the first 5 minutes, just be gasped, And so all that excitement was something, I think just being mature, you learn how to deal with it. But one of the things that I really remember, when beating IU was that time when Todd got a dunk at the last moment and he slammed it backwards. And I mean, it was just an awesome dunk just to capsize the win, So that sticks in my mind.
That's good. All those are good memories, fellas. And I want to turn a little bit forward now as you watch this Purdue team that's in front of you this season with Coach Painter and Coach Keady. I want to touch on the streak that Coach Painter and the program has going against Indiana. And I'm sure it brings a lot of joy to you, Coach, to see all the success Purdue is having, not just in the Big Ten, but in this rivalry in particular right now.
Well, I want to say something about the Three Amigos first, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
About how these three guys had great parents, and they had taught them to have great honesty. So we didn't have any secrets among each other. We had great communication lines, and so they were very good about that. If something wasn't right, they would tell me, and I always appreciated that. And I can remember one time when I think Todd threw the ball away, and Mackie and I went over to, hey, are you working for the Gambling Association? What the heck's going on here? It was one of those things where I was just fed up with not playing well in that particular part of the game. But they were always the thing about that I loved about them the most. They went to class every day. They got their degrees, and they went out and made a life for themselves. And that's what we were after. When we went into a home, we always told the parents that the most important thing for them to do is go to class every day, get their degree.
And be on time.
And you coach, how do you feel about that streak that Matt and the Boilermakers have going against IU right now?
Well, we love it because, it's one of those things where, in other words, we want them to win the league. And Matt was one of the guys that I recommended for the job, and he's done a great job there. And his dad was like their parents. His dad was very much, he went home one time and said, hey, I don't think Coach Keady knows what the hell he's doing. That might not have been his very words, but his dad said, shut up, go back and do what he says and become a player. And that's the kind of backing I had from most parents that won Big Ten championships. And it's all about loyalty.
And Troy, when you think about this rivalry and where it's at right now, Purdue fans, I think, are really enjoying something that historically, is very special for Purdue to be winning all these games against Indiana. And obviously they want to, of course, see it continue. But what's your perspective on it as Purdue under Matt Painter in recent years, just having really good success against the Hoosiers?
Well, I'm enjoying it too. Because I got a lot of friends, I like we talked about earlier from, being from Indiana, I got a lot of friends who went to really close friends that went to Indiana. So I get to brag, get to call them up or text them and saying, you lost again. But as players and as coaches, we know how difficult it is, especially to win down in the Assembly Hall. I mean, for what they're doing, it's prepared, the way they're playing, my hat's off to them. I mean, it is really – I mean, it's mind-boggling, to be honest with you.
Yes, it is.
It is so hard to win down at Assembly Hall, and I'm happy. Keep doing it.
Todd, it's always hard to beat any rival consistently, but what's your perspective on this streak Purdue has going?
Well, I mean, it's a testament to Coach Painter getting his guys ready for not just for the game, but for that level, like Coach had mentioned earlier.
Right.
That game is played at a different emotional level.
Yes, it is.
It's played at a different emotional level than any other game. And so clearly Matt's done a great job of getting his guys ready for the emotions that come with it. and they're able to continue to produce down in Bloomington, which I agree with Troy is probably one of the toughest places, loudest places that I've ever played in, along with the emotion of the game. So I just think he's done a phenomenal job with that.
And Everett, I know you two pay attention to this rivalry. You have to also be stunned by the great success that Purdue's having at this point in time against the Hoosiers.
I mean, I echo all of what they just talked about as far as just the fact that, how hard it is to win. Forget whether it's there or at our place. I mean, to have that type of streak going on, hats off to Coach Painter for just getting them ready and keeping them focused, because forget the situation that right now that we're in, which is very unusual without having fans. I mean, he's been able to win, whether it's ugly, pretty, or he wins the game. He finds a way to get these players to win that, to win this game against IU, which is a huge rival. So for me, I've always put Coach Painter to me, one of the top, I would say one of the top 7 coaches in the country. And I've always felt that way because I've watched his way of coaching and what he does. And he knows how to win. That's the bottom line. He knows how to win.
Coach Keady, give us a favorite moment with these 3 gentlemen that when you think back on their years with you in the program. Give us a moment or two that stands out for you that you really think of when you think of these 3 guys.
Well, I think the thing that was most disappointing was when K-State beat us at the Silverdome. Is that right? That's where we played?
Yeah.
And because of these 3 guys and Melvin McCants, I was really not felt sorry for them, but felt bad for them because I knew they really wanted to go to the Final Four. Unless you got players that want to go to the Final Four, you're not going, because it's no matter where you play at Division I level, it's tough. And to win any game on the road in Division I, it's really tough. So, and these guys did a tremendous job of that in their 4 years. So I just wanted to see them get rewarded for their efforts over the 4 years, because they were good people, had great parents, and were honest with their comments towards making the team better. So those are the reasons I wanted to go to the Final Four, to be rewarded.
Everett, give us a favorite moment with these 3 guys. They're the other 2 players, and of course, Coach Keady.
I think my moment that I couldn't believe and I laugh at even just thinking about it is when we had a game against Ohio State. We were at Ohio State, and after we have our walkthrough, we have a free throw shooting contest among the players. And I remember, Kip Jones as being one of our worst free throw shooters. And anyway, he challenged Coach Keady for a horse game. And I remember he was making all these incredible 3-point shots, and Coach Keady was hanging in there, but he beat him in all the game. We stayed there like about a half an hour extra because Coach Keady and him just kept playing. He said, "You want to play again?" Coach Keady, "Yes, I don't want another one." So they just kept playing horse. We were just sitting around watching. And of course, Kip beat him. And I know, Coach said, if you miss a shot in this game, you're gonna hear from me. And that's one of the things that stands out because they were going at it.
Well, you have a better memory than me, because I don't remember him ever beating me in anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Coach.
But it's got to be true if you said it.
Todd,
he was out that 3-pointer.
Todd, what do you think of?
I really think of that senior year when I'm not sure who we played to win the Big Ten championship, but to be able to, I remember that night, to be able to hoist that trophy up, that Big Ten championship trophy, with the 3 of us and with Coach, and walk around Mackey with that. That was a time that I'll never forget. I mean, I got pictures of that particular moment. in my house, and it was just one of the best moments that I've had. And also for Coach to be there when we went into the Hall of Fame. Everybody knows us as the triplets. I think that was the best way that you could possibly done it. For all three of us to go in at the same time. That was a great night, great memories. And I'm so glad that all three of us were able to be there. Coach was able to be there. And that was just it was a great memory.
Troy, what stands out to you?
Well, I'm going to talk about what stands out with me with my brothers here, and I got a story for Coach that stands out with me too. But with Todd and Everette, I remember we were playing down in Louisville, and we were up on them big, and they made a run. They made a run on us, and I remember Coach calling a timeout, and it was a feeling when we got out of that timeout with these two guys. I just felt like we're going to win this. I said, we're going to score right here. Coach called a play, and I was like, they're not going to be able to stop this. I mean, it was such a calming feeling, a confident feeling that I was like, man, I got my brothers here. We're not going to lose this game. We're going to score here, and we're going to beat you. We're going to go back to Lafayette, have some fun, go to the clubs. And have some fun. That's how I felt playing with these two guys here. With Coach, the thing that stands out with me, it's a story more than we got Coach Weber said, hey, Coach want to see you three and Melvin McCants up in his office right now. We were like, what in the heck is going on? So we get in there was a lady sitting at his desk, and Coach was like, hey, she said, hey, are these the guys that was at the store? And she was like, no. She said, no, these are not the guys. So what ended up happening is someone was eating cookies at Payless. And it was us three and Melvin.
And so, not paying for them. And the
lady laughed, and Coach said, I knew it wouldn't be you guys because y'all wouldn't have left no cookies.
Exactly. Oh, my goodness.
So, Coach, you'll verify that story?
Oh, yeah, that's an absolute truth. Yes. I was so mad. I was so mad about that. And then when she told me that they left some cookies, I knew it wasn't there because they would not have left it.
Right.
They'd all be gone.
And they were innocent.
The other thing, Nate, that I want to share, and Todd and Troy knows this anyway, but just the fact that, piggybacking off of what Troy said, I mean, it's a special feeling when I went on a court with Todd, Troy, Melvin, Kip, Tony Jones, all these guys. When we was on the floor, there was a confident level of like I had in Troy, that I had in Todd. I knew I wasn't doing it alone. And so all those different things played in the factor of us winning. Like Troy said, we were going to go out there and score and win. It wasn't a big deal. We knew how to shake that off because we all had confidence in one another at such a high level. And all that just allowed for us to win because we respected one another game and we relied on each other. So that was something special. And I'll never forget it because that's what winning is all about. And when you hear other teams, no matter at any level, when you hear that, it's a certain bond and a certain confidence that they have in one another that allows them to go out there and win.
That's well said. And guys, I want to thank you for a moment before we get toward the tail end of this pregame show. All of you are here, and we're grateful for your time because you know how important it is for Purdue athletics to do things like this virtual sellout and this pregame show tonight in an unprecedented year. And you know what Purdue athletics ultimately is trying to do through the support of the John Purdue Club, and that's to help give opportunities to young student athletes like the three out here at Purdue. And so, Troy, I'll let you lead off, and you, Todd and Everette can both follow. But when you look at Coach Keady up here on the screen and you think about the impact that he's had on your life as the decades have gone on, just maybe give us a thought about coach and the student athlete experience and what having him in your life has meant to you?
Well, first of all, I want to say Coach deserves to be in the Basketball Hall of Fame. I mean, it's a travesty that this man is not in the Basketball Hall of Fame, not only as a coach, but as a person. So, they talk about, contribution to the game of basketball. In my mind, no one has a better contribution in the game of basketball than Coach. As far as what he taught me from being a teenager at 18 and now being a grown man at 54 years old, it's being responsible. It's being responsible. It's making no excuses for what you do. Yeah. I remember we had a chalk talk one day, and Coach was up here. We always have this, we'll sit down and it'll be on a chalkboard. And I remember he said, "How many of you guys made your bed up this morning?" And, you're a college student, you're not. And he said, "Those are the little things that no one sees, but only you. That's the discipline." And it struck me to the core. I was like, yeah, you're right. It's like what you do that no one else sees that make you who you are. Mm-hmm. And ever since that day, I have made my bed. It's not a day that goes by that I have not made my bed. And I coach basketball, and I tell our kids, I don't tell them about the bed, but I tell them about your work ethic, things that happen to you in life where people see it on the, as an athlete, they see it on the basketball court, but it happens when no one's watching. What's your discipline? When no one's watching is what other people see. So that's the thing I've taken in my life that Coach taught me.
That's great. And Todd, when you think about these two guys with you and Coach and the learning that went on in those 4 years that you carry with you today, and you've done a lot of interesting things as well out there and had your years playing in Europe, and tell us what you feel these decades later.
Well, a couple of things. Number one, very similar to what Everette said in regards to teams. I had the benefit of playing on a state championship team in high school, and then playing and winning 2 titles there, and then going over to Europe to play. And I played on many different types of teams, championship teams, teams that weren't very good. And it gave me an opportunity to really see why teams aren't good.
Yes.
Why they're not good.
Exactly.
And it's very clear why teams aren't good and why we were so good and why my high school team was so good. It's because I had complete confidence that, you know what, Troy's going to make 3 or 4 shots tonight that are just going to be ridiculous. And I know every night I knew that. And I knew, and whenever we were playing a guard, 2 guard, and it was Everett's responsibility, I knew 100% Everett was going to shut him down because I know he took that kind of thing personally, right? Yep. And in regards to Coach, I in my present life, work life, I lead teams. And so in my teams, I always continue to try to keep that same type of mentality that Coach taught. Everybody has a role. And everybody, if you stick to your role and you do it to the best of your ability, the team is going to be successful. And it's when you try to step out of that and do different things and do things that you're not great at, you're not going to have success. And that's helped me a lot over the course of my career here in business is the same things, the same kind of practices that Coach taught us. The only problem is I don't have the steps of Mackey to go send people. When I get out of line, I don't have that. I wish I had that. That would probably help me a lot more. But with Coach had that always in his hip pocket. Go get on his stairs. Get out of his sight.
Everette, do you ever have, we'll let you get into your relationship with Coach and what he's meant to you, but do you ever have any nightmares about those Mackey steps?
Oh, yeah. I had to run those stairs before. All 100 of them. Okay. So yeah. But again, it's just one of those things to where, I think we've all learned so much from Coach. You can't put it in one segment. And for me, it's no excuse. You got to work hard. All those different things ran into my mind as I played professional basketball after Purdue. He was in my mind all the time, and I took that as respect, because when I went to go play with other players from different, schools, some didn't even know how to even set up the correct screen, how to, prepare themselves for the next game. All these different things were things that I was taught, and it helped me to be able to sustain and have a nice, professional career after Purdue. And I have one story, I wanted to share, talking about what Coach Keady being like the ultimate warrior and someone you learn not just how to play hard and how to win, but just as a person. We were playing at Wisconsin and playing there, and they used to play in this old barn, and they used to have the doors open when they was letting people in, and it was cold. I mean, we in the layup line, and it's hard to play against them anyway because they're blue collar like us. So it's going to be just a grind game. And we in the layup line, and Coach Keady could see all we was thinking about, man, is like how cold it was. We shivering and like, oh my, we complain all this stuff. And the next thing you know, we had to go back into the locker room. And I remember Coach Keady just reaming us about, they're playing in the same gym. Blah, blah, blah. He was going off on us. And you talk about a wake-up call. I mean, if he wouldn't have done that, we would have lost the game. Because after that, man, our eyes was wide open. We had no excuses, and that's the type of coach he is, of being able to get a feel for his players and just teaching you how to go out there and compete. So my hat is off, and he's always been in my mind ever since I played basketball, always.
And that same game at Wisconsin afterwards, if you remember, some pilots from our aviation school flew us up there, right? You probably don't remember that, but
no,
they were trying to have other pilots fly us home. I says, no way. I want Purdue guys because I know what the heck they're doing. I almost got in a fist fight with these people who was going to have us fly on another plane. No. We're having the Purdue pilots take it. So
that's right.
We got home safe. Then I want to say something about Everette at Iowa. Do you remember we had an offense against the zone called Boston?
Yeah.
And on the baseline, this guy had to be a great athlete because he'd go corner to corner. And I bet Everette had 6 dunks that night. Troy or Todd kept throwing the ball, he'd just jab it. And we'd get a lead and won the game and went home happy. Everette was very, very good in that game. I don't know if he had 20 points or not, but we won the game, and it was his credit.
From the 3-point line.
Yeah. I was knocking them down for the 3-point line because they wouldn't guard me. Yeah,
so you were very versatile.
Everette, as we close out here, all of you guys know that this is going to go out tonight to Purdue fans anywhere in the world. And they support the Boilermakers. That's why they bought a ticket to this virtual sellout. But Everette, just maybe your closing thoughts on, what Purdue can mean to these young people in the program and what it can do for their life.
Well, coming from, Illinois, I didn't know a lot about Purdue. It was my dad who knew so much about Purdue and the respect they had as a program. And over the years, it just goes to show you Purdue has been on the rise for years after years after year, on not just with athletics, but just with the student body. So, having it to where being associated and watching Purdue or wanting to take a look as a student or a parent to come to Purdue and see what it's all about, they will be overwhelmed at what Purdue offers, and because all they've done is just over the years has gotten better. So this would be special if they ever made a choice to go to Purdue.
Everette, was your sister married to a White Sox player?
Yes, Minnie Minoso.
Oh yeah, right. He was a great player.
Yeah,
He said, Everette, you're going to Purdue.
Yeah,
because of your sister.
Yeah. She all of them knew about Purdue, and they knew it was a good program.
And Todd, the same to you as you get a chance to speak to our friends and supporters all over the world tonight as they get set for the Purdue IU game, what would be your message of not just how they can support, but what student athlete really means to this university?
Well, I think number one, everybody out there, root for them, go Purdue, boiler up before this game and all through the game. Let's watch them fight like hell to win it. That's number one. But number two is the thing that I love about Purdue is you will rarely see a person, and I don't know of many, that have gone through this program, whether it's when Coach Keady had the program or when Matt had the program, that aren't very successful people in life. And I think that that's a huge thing that Coach brought to the basketball program, and he's transferred that over to Matt, and Matt's continued to carry that forward. And for me, I just think that's got to be the best thing about this whole program is the fact that the majority of the guys that I know that have played here are all extremely successful in their own lives and their own ventures.
So Nate, can I say something about a rule we had? We always had a rule, and I got the trainer at Arizona State was my best friend in high school, Troy Young. I still talk to him. And his football coach, which they were really tough, had a rule: no beards, no hair on your face, because it makes you end up looking like a beard or like a bum. So I got to apologize to Todd. I was wrong. But I'm sorry, but that was something that just came to my mind. Todd is not a bum. He's a great person. I always love coaching him.
And we'll let Coach give us some final thoughts in a minute. But Troy, to finish out the players part, as you get a chance to address our Purdue Nation of supporters and friends all over the world tonight to getting set for this Purdue IU game, what's in your mind about the Purdue program?
I just think the camaraderie that you have, with the athletes, but also the connection outside. I've met some great alumnus that weren't student athletes, was just students. Played some golf with some guys that, I would have never gotten that chance to. And it is something to be said when you walk around and you see somebody, especially me living in Ohio now, that I see someone with a Purdue shirt on. It's that pride. You see, you just yell out, "Bull her up!" Bull her up! So yeah, it's a tremendous opportunity. I wouldn't change it for the world. The experience I've had, obviously with my two brothers and with Coach Keady, I wish everybody can have that type of experience that I've had.
Mm-hmm. And Coach, as you get a chance to talk to the Boiler Nation tonight, leading into this Purdue IU rivalry game, and to be here with these three players that I know mean so much to you, and as they've become men and gone out into the world, what are your thoughts for Purdue fans of what this program has meant over the years and what it can continue to mean in the years ahead?
Well, I want to tell you that I love these three guys, not because they won basketball games, because they were just good people, and they got the degrees, and now they're successful in their own right. But it's just something that's to be a Purdue graduate, you get a job anywhere in the world if they know you're from Purdue. And it's just something that's very special to all of us, and I always appreciate the fact that they would hire me from Western Kentucky to come to Purdue. George King was a great boss. I had a lot of great bosses at Purdue, and had a lot of great people help me. I had a lot of great assistants who helped. You never do it by yourself. It's about us, not me. And that's what these three guys have always attributed to, too, because it was always about the team, not themselves.
Everette, Todd, Troy, and Coach, we are so grateful that you take time to join us tonight and support this virtual sellout and this insider pregame show. It's been a joy to be with you tonight, and we hope to see all of you back on campus as soon as possible and enjoying Purdue games for the years to come. But thank you so much for being with us tonight.
And thank you.
You're welcome. Boiler up, baby.
Yeah.
Boiler up.
Thank you,
guys.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks, Coach. That was really special. That was awesome. Guys, we're getting close to the end here. I think everyone's probably still a little thirsty, though. What would you say, Lane, after all your years bartending here, is the most popular drink here at Harry's?
Hands down would be the Baltimore. made probably literally millions of them since I've been here. Now we're going to kick it over to K9 and Matt Folk and show you how to make them.
Awesome.
Well, hey K9, I just had a great cheeseburger deluxe and a plate of your world famous jalapeno poppers, and I'm ready for a little dessert drink.
Well,
what should I get? A Baltimore Zoo here?
Well, you can't leave Harry's without having a Baltimore Zoo.
Well, show me your deal.
Alrighty, our world famous Baltimore Zoo. We're gonna do a ½ ounce of vodka, ½ ounce of gin, a ½ ounce of rum, and a ½ ounce triple sec. Now here comes the cherry on top. Okay, we're gonna do a ½ ounce Southern Comfort, ½ ounce of amaretto, and a little topper of grenadine. And then we're gonna finish this bad boy off with a little sour Coca-Cola.
All right, well, I think that's simple enough. I can even make that at my home bar if I give it a try.
Make it at home, just that simple.
All right, let's see how this goes. That's not bad either, that's good.
That's a Boilermaker favorite right there, my
We're
friend.
gonna make one of those when we get home.
Definitely.
But before that, we're headed back to the game at Mackey, so boiler up and let's beat IU for what, the 108th time in a row?
Yeah, who's counting?
There you go.
Thanks, guys, and Matt, enjoy that Baltimore Zoo. Speaking of enjoying things, we really enjoyed being here with you guys tonight. Thank you so much for having us, Mary, Lane, and thank you to everyone watching. If you got the privilege of watching this tonight, it's because you're someone who went above and beyond for Purdue athletics in our darkest hours. You know, it's no secret that this year has been difficult on many levels. Financially, it's been the hardest year probably in the history of our athletics department, and you guys stepped up. And I don't think it's just been financially hard on our athletics department, but on the community that our athletics department impacts. You know, the entire West Lafayette community and Lafayette community relies on Purdue athletics to bring people in the door, to bring excitement to the community, and I certainly think it impacts businesses like Harry's and many others throughout this community. So again, what you've done here is very, very special. We look forward to seeing you back in Harry's and back in Mackey next year as we pack it and we bring enthusiasm to support the greatest basketball team in Big Ten history. So with that, we're excited to click over to the game tonight now against IU. We're excited to see a victory, and we're going to have a great night, and we wish you a great night too. Boiler up, everybody. Enjoy the game.